Let's take a look at exercise 4.02, question 15. Now, this one's a bit of a different one because all the other ones, wherever we've had a fraction, be it a fraction with part of the denominator under, the denominator under just part of the left-hand side, or the denominator under the whole of the left-hand side, we've always had no coefficient for the x. But in number 15, we've got a coefficient, which means we've got an extra step to complete if we're going to solve it. Okay, so let's have a look at this. I'll write this out. So it's going to be exercise 4.02. It's question 15. And the question reads, I'll just write it out first. So we've got, so it's 2x plus 1 over 4 equals 8. Now, there's a bunch of ways we can approach this, and it's quite useful to have more than one way, because the more ways you can solve something, the better your understanding of it. So, and the other way, we saw that when we did the patterns in the class, didn't we? So we're doing patterns in class, and different people would come up with different approaches to solving the pattern. So let's have a look at this. So we've got let's get rid of the denominator first. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 4. So that's going to be my first strategy. So let's restate the problem. Then I'm going to tackle it. So here it is. I'm going to multiply both sides by 4. I'm going to multiply all of this by 4. Multiply all of this by 4. And of course, 4 divided by 4 is 1. Yeah? And 1 times all of that thing in brackets is just all of that thing in brackets. And of course, 8 times 4 was 32. Now, I've got a plus 1 over here. I'm going to undo the plus 1. So in this case, I can go minus 1. I can subtract 1 from both sides. 1 minus 1, of course, is 0, leaving me with 2x is equal to 32 minus 1, which of course is 31. Now, I'm now going to get rid of the 2, because we want to get rid of all the unknowns, or all the knowns, leaving me with just the unknown, which is x. So I'm going to divide 2. In other words, I'm going to undo the 2 times with a 2 divide. So 2 divide both sides. I'm dividing both sides by 2. And of course, 2 divided by 2 is 1. And 1 times x is going to leave me with x. Now, I could state this as 15.5 over 2, but we like to keep things where we can as improper fractions. It's a more precise way, really. It's a more succinct way of expressing the answer. And I would be very tempted to leave that as 31 over 2, but you could, if you wanted, say that as 15.5. Or if you really, really wanted, you could say it was 15 and 1/2. But now we're entering the realm of mixed numbers, and this is getting more and more imprecise. So I would rather leave it as 31 over 2. Now, there was another way you could have tackled this. It doesn't get you to the answer in the same direct way, but it does simplify it slightly. So let's just take a look at that way right now. So let's have a look. Should I do that? Yeah, we could. I'll just explain what we could do if you really wanted. We could have actually divided the whole of this thing by 2, but it doesn't get me to the answer in the same nice way, because in other words, dividing this by 2 would leave me with an x. But of course, in doing that, we'd end up with a half here. And of course, the 4, well, it gets more complicated. So in other words, there are more ways we could get to the answer, but again, it's not in the same direct way. So I don't think that dividing all of this by 2 would be the way I would go. But again, there's many ways you could do it. And just be aware, there's always more than one way, or usually more than one way, when solving algebraic questions. So there is the answer. I would leave it personally as 31 over 2.